In a quiet corner of Riverside, California, stood a farmhouse that had been the pride of the Harris family for nearly a century. It wasn't just a piece of land, it was a heartbeat passed down from father to son. For William Harris, age 34, it was the last living memory of his parents. But everything changed when he returned from a short business trip and froze at the sight of a metal sign bolted onto the gate. His world collapsed in an instant. William tried his old key on the front door, but the locks had been changed. His chest tightened. This wasn't just trespassing, it was a complete takeover. He stormed into the county office the next morning, demanding answers. A clerk, shuffling papers without even looking up, replied flatly, "Sir, the property is now legally owned by Morgan Realty. The deed transfer was signed and registered last week." "Signed? By who?" William snapped. "By you, sir," the clerk said, finally meeting his furious eyes. That night, William sat alone in a cheap motel room, staring at the copy of the deed he had obtained from the office. His hands trembled as his eyes locked on the last page. The signature looked exactly like his own dot. It was flawless, too flawless. His property hadn't been sold. It had been stolen with a forged signature. William knew who Morgan Realty was, a ruthless company that preyed on families, taking advantage of their weaknesses, turning land into profit. They had money, lawyers, and political connections. He had none of those things. But William had something far more dangerous, nothing left to lose. The farmhouse wasn't just a structure of wood and paint. It was where his father taught him how to fix a fence, where his mother's laughter once echoed in the kitchen, where every childhood memory was rooted. And now strangers were walking through it, planning to tear it down for some commercial project. His jaw tightened as rage coursed through him. "They've taken everything I love," he whispered. "Now, I'll take everything they fear." That night, William Harris stopped being a victim. In the silence of his motel room, he began writing a plan that would bring Morgan Realty to its knees. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about revenge. William Harris spent days studying Morgan Realty. He sat in his dusty pickup truck across the street from their glass corporate office, watching their executives come and go. He read every article he could find, every lawsuit they had crushed, every family they had ruined. Morgan Realty wasn't just a company, it was a machine. They had lawyers in their pockets, politicians on their payroll, and a reputation for destroying anyone who stood in their way. But William was not just anyone. He started small. At night, he snuck onto his old property, moving carefully under the cover of darkness. He placed hidden cameras in the barn, under the porch, and even inside the farmhouse kitchen through a broken window. If they wanted to steal his home, he would steal their secrets. Every morning, he would review the footage. He saw Morgan Realty contractors laughing inside his house, tearing down his parents' photographs, planning to demolish walls that once carried generations of memories. Each laugh was fuel to his fire. One night, he caught something unusual on commodity contractors unloading a set of black bags from their truck, sneaking them into the farmhouse basement. They looked around nervously, as if hiding something they didn't want the world to see. It was cash. Bundles of $100 bills, and taped to the inside of the bag was a note with initials. S.G. Morgan Realty wasn't just stealing land. They were laundering money, using his property as a drop site. Suddenly, William realized he had something far more powerful than anger. He had leverage. The next day, William followed the initials. S.G. belonged to Samuel Green, the ruthless CEO of Morgan Realty, a man so untouchable that even judges feared him. But now William had evidence that could destroy him. Still, he wasn't ready to hand it over to the police. Not yet. Justice was too clean for the pain they caused him. No, William wanted them to feel fear, to feel powerless, to feel the same suffocation he felt when he saw his family's name ripped off his gate. He began leaking small pieces of information, anonymously mails to rival companies, whispers to local reporters, hints of Morgan Realty's shady practices. The panic inside the corporation was visible within days. Executives stormed in and out of meetings. Police cars parked outside their office more than once. And Green himself was seen looking over his shoulder, For the first time, the predators were feeling hunted. Standing on a hill across from his farmhouse, William whispered into the night, "This is just the beginning." William Harris had always believed revenge was a dangerous game until now. Each day that passed, he dug deeper into Morgan Realty's corruption. The farmhouse had become more than a stolen legacy. It had become the key to their darkest secrets. Through hidden cameras and anonymous leaks, William had already shaken the company's foundation. But it wasn't enough. He wanted to burn the entire empire down. William's investigation led him to Morgan Realty's offshore accounts. Late nights, in his motel room, he sifted through hacked files and bank transfers, tracing millions of dollars funneled through fake land deals. The farmhouse, his farmhouse, was just one piece of their criminal web. He contacted Julia Ramirez, a sharp and ambitious journalist known for exposing corporate scandals. At first, Julia didn't believe him. "Do you know how many people claim Morgan Realty cheated them?" she scoffed. William slid a flash drive across the table. "Not like this. I have proof." That night, Julia called him back. Her voice trembled. "If this is real, Morgan Realty won't just come after you. They'll kill you." William's answer was calm, cold. "Let them try." The leaks hit the media like a storm. Headlines screamed of fraud, tax evasion, and bribery. Investors pulled out. Politicians scrambled to distance themselves. For the first time in decades, Samuel Green looked vulnerable. But power like his doesn't fall quietly. One evening, as William returned to his motel, he sensed something wrong. The door was cracked open. Slowly, he pushed it wider, only to find the room ransacked, papers torn, his laptop smashed, and on the mirror, written in red spray paint, were the words, "Stop or die." William felt his rage boil, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled. Because their threat proved one thing: he was winning. The next phase of his plan was direct. He began targeting Green personally. William hacked into Green's private emails and released photos of him meeting shady politicians. He exposed Green's hidden properties, purchased under fake names. Every secret dragged into the light made Green more desperate. Morgan Realty's office was now surrounded daily by reporters. Protesters shouted outside their gates. Green, once untouchable, had become a hunted man. Yet William wasn't satisfied. Destroying Green's reputation wasn't enough. He wanted him to feel the same crushing helplessness he felt when he saw that property of Morgan Realty sign. So William set his final trap. Using Green's own money laundering cash, he staged a fake deal under Green's name and sent the documents to federal investigators. By the time Green realized it was too late, he was now under criminal investigation. On a rainy night, standing once more outside his farmhouse, William whispered to the storm, "I'm not just taking back my home. I'm taking back every life you destroyed." The revenge was no longer personal. It had become justice for everyone. Morgan Realty had crushed a storm that had been brewing finally exploded. News channels across the country screamed headlines about Morgan Realty's collapse. Federal agents raided their offices, seizing files, computers, and cash. Executives were dragged out in handcuffs, their faces plastered across every screen. But William Harris wasn't watching from afar. He was right in the middle of it. The night before the raid, William had walked into the farmhouse one last time. For months it had been filled with contractors and criminals, but now it was silent. Dust hung in the air like ghosts of the past. He touched a wooden beam above the fireplace where his father had carved the family initials. His chest ached, but not with sadness this time, with victory. As he looked around, headlights suddenly cut across the windows. A sleek black car pulled up, and out stepped Samuel Green himself. Green's tailored suit was soaked from the rain, but his eyes burned with fury. "You think you've beaten me, Harris?" he snarled. "Do you have any idea who I am?" William's jaw tightened. "I know exactly who you are. A thief who mistook my silence for weakness." Green lunged forward, shoving William against the wall. "I'll rebuild everything you destroyed. You're nothing." William smiled coldly. "No, Green, you're nothing. And by tomorrow morning, the world will know it." He pulled a small recorder from his pocket. Their entire conversation, Every threat, every word was being transmitted live to Julia Ramirez, who was waiting with the press. Green's empire didn't just fall in silence. It collapsed in fire. By dawn, Samuel Green was in handcuffs, screaming as agents dragged him away. Morgan Realty was declared bankrupt within weeks, its properties seized, its influence shattered. William stood at the courthouse steps as reporters swarmed him, asking what he would do now that his land was safe. He looked into the cameras, his voice steady but fierce. "They stole my family's home. They stole from countless others. But today, I proved that no empire built on lies can last forever." Months later, the farmhouse was his again. The locks were changed back, the land records cleared of corruption. Standing on the porch, William felt the weight.